actually, that game has a lot of personal significance for me.
Yep, I'm Emily George. I'm the lead game dev here for Lux, and otherwise I really love cosplay, crafting, and playing games in my spare time.
I'm the creative director and artist of Freedomina, and I'm also co-founding an indie studio startup. We've been at the Game Expo last couple of years, and we've also been at PAX Rising since 2024.
My name is Jake Kasdal. I've been a game developer since the mid-90s. I've been all over the place. I worked at Sega in Tokyo for a handful of years during the Dreamcast years. Went on to do a bunch of other stuff, and then I started my own company about 17 years ago called 17-Bit. We're based in Kyoto, Japan. We have 17 guys, surprisingly. It's our 17-year anniversary. Everything coming up 17. But this is our fourth original game, and it's about to be coming out in the next couple of months. I was working in Seattle at a place called Zombie. I was in Los Angeles at EA for a couple of years. Before that, I was at Sega in Tokyo. Before that, I was at another game company called Boss Game Studios in Seattle. Lobotomy. I've had many jobs over about 30 years now, so it's been a while.
So I'm Georgina, and I'm the sole developer of Night Shift 1999. It's a visual novel where you play as a vampire moving to King's Cross, Sydney in 1999. So I'm a first-time developer, actually. I have a background in fine art, but I was doing painting and installation art in university. I was very lucky to be a recipient of the Emerging Game Makers Fund from Screen Australia, which enabled me to actually make the demo for this game and has led me to developing it fully.
I found it so uplifting. Connecting into the community has been so massive, and just hearing even just that one person say, I feel like this game is made for me, has just made the whole development process worth it. And all of the game neighbors as well are so lovely. So honestly, it feels like endless benefits to being here. I'm really glad we went. Yeah, even just for the self-esteem side of things or the mental health side of things, I think despite being physically exhausting, that knowing that you've done something that people love, that you've kind of got this milestone, I feel like is massively important for creators, even whether you're an indie game dev or an artist or anything. It's massively important as a step in the journey. And I know other people who have gotten really good connections and networking from it that have led them to other things and bigger projects, so absolutely.
There are so many benefits between being within the sector of the games industry and being involved with other developers, also PR opportunities with journalists, publishers, and just expanding your reach with a local audience is really, really important. You get to connect with the players that are part of your game and will connect with it a lot, and it's an opportunity to build your social presence pretty much. We get a good little surge of community engagement whenever we do events, and we really love to showcase at these events and do community-oriented activities. So many developers that we've met through these events and had really good neighbours. For example, Pizza Dungeon that's behind us, we've been neighbours with them at TGX the last couple of years actually, and we're really close. And there's so many other showcases here today that I've helped with preparing their showcases and their booths as well, and it's just this really, really fun community. We all get so excited about showcasing our games together.
It's my first time in Australia. It's my second day in Australia. I've never been here. I'm from Seattle originally, but I've been in Kyoto for the last 12 years. Well, it's our first time here. I don't know much about the Australian market, but our producer, Steve, is from Melbourne. He helped us get in here, and it's just, for us, especially at this age where we're almost done with the game, and we're tuning things, and we're making sure that it's understandable by new players, watching so many people come and just jump into the game and start playing is super informative. Everybody's had a big smile. I've learned, there's a couple things I want to make some changes when I get back to the studio, but for the most part, people seem to love it. They're having a great time. But it's really good for us to see that what we've made is resonating with people. They're understanding it. We're communicating effectively, even though there's a bunch of new mechanics in the game. People are able to kind of get a hold of it pretty quickly and have a really good time, and I think that's just the most important thing. And watching all different ages, older people love it, little kids love it, everybody loves playing it. We were sponsored guests, so they helped us to come down here and kind of helped us with much of the setup and stuff like that. So we've been on stage, and our musician Ali played a live show with Mr. Koshiro over here the other night, and So yeah, we've just been kind of being given the good treatment and seeing everything TJX has to offer, and yeah, it's been a fantastic show. It's been absolutely fantastic.
I'm actually from Switzerland, and the game is partially inspired by me moving from Switzerland to Australia, which is why I've chosen Sydney as my setting. It was where I was starting university. I got to know the area really well. Even the apartment in the game is based off my old apartment. But yes, because you go through all the beats of like kind of set yourself up, find a new community, get your job, get your training, while also, just kind of living your day-to-day life. I was at GCAP because I was part of Screen Australia's local lounge, so that's very different from like kind of general public. And then I did show a very early prototype of the game at AvCon in Adelaide. But yeah, it's been really amazing. People are very supportive. You end up seeing like the same faces kind of coming by your booth. And you just end up being able to strike a conversation. You meet a lot of other artists, you meet a lot of other game developers, obviously, and just also people that are fans of like the genre or just fans of what your work is, and it's really cool. You end up feeling like you've got yourself a community.
The lack of quality that's kind of coming out, like just from the cleaning up bug side, is definitely indicative of a bigger issue with maybe time that people get to work on. I feel like it's kind of reflecting the film industry in a really similar way, where these companies that fund big projects have tight deadlines and pushing people to the limit. Probably price is a massive aspect for it. One of the games I've been playing with my mates is, I don't know if it counts as AAA, probably, it is Helldivers, which is massive. And it feels a bit rough to pay price for a game and then have the game push buying their currency on you afterwards. And I think we're seeing a few of that come through, or base games being massively expensive and cost of living is just not matching that experience. So I think that's where indie games are coming through a little bit to provide a bit more of an affordable way to get into gaming. I think a lot of indie games are matching even visual quality these days as well. Like, if you look at any clips of Expedition 33, it's gorgeous, and that's been kind of true for a few years now. Like, gaming is so broad, and what you're trying to get out of a video game could be anywhere from after work, I've got 3 brain cells left, I just need to relax, to I want like an intense, strategic, hours-long experience, or like a big story-driven experience. And indie games are kind of going to give all of those options and variety, whereas AAA will be more focused on what's probably worked in the past, or what has worked for their specific audience that they know can come back in for more. So I think there's probably a drift towards indie for that reason, just like variety, and you're not going to have like a lesser experience than some of the AAA games. And in some cases, maybe even a better one, because they've had that time to breathe.
I know at the moment there is a bit of, I wouldn't want to say controversy, but there's a lot of commentary around the current state of AAA games and consoles, and how indie games are kind of rising. There's a lot of those multiplayer games that are like reconnecting everyone with their friends online, and people are starting to become more and more invested in the development of indie games and following the developers along their journey. And I really appreciate a lot of players, I guess, desire for integrity in development, and their desire to be kind of part of the journey and get involved in play testing or other community events. And it's just nice to see that kind of innovation happening in the industry and across the player base as well. I guess I could maybe say there's a lot more niche ideas happening in indie, because a lot of indie games are self-funded, or they're funded through Kickstarter or community campaigns. Publishers and like AAA studios, they have a lot of risk involved in the games they develop, and they're very, very high budgets, which makes it difficult to have risky or adventurous ideas at times. And they still make amazing games, but indie games can sometimes be so absurd and odd, and you just get some really, really interesting ideas that kind of transform the player experience at times. A lot of indie games are so unique. It's like not like anything people have played before, and especially a lot of the new like multiplayer co-op indie games that have come out, like Peak or Lethal Company. They've introduced a lot of people that would play a lot of AAA multiplayer games to indie games.
AAA is tough right now. You know, the budgets are spiraling out of control. AI is coming for jobs. There's been a lot of layoffs. There's a lot of really big corporate takeovers of buying these small teams and using them for a project or two and then getting rid of them and laying everybody off. America's lost a lot of employees. A lot of game employees are having a hard time, you know. It's tough, and I think, you know, it's beneficial, especially these older guys that have experience. You know, it's a good time to be doing indie stuff. It costs a lot less money. You can be more risky. You can take more challenges on. Yeah, AAA is tough right now, and this is going to be a big year. For, you know, GTA 6 is going to be coming out, and it's going to sort of mow through everything. So I don't envy people running big studios right now. It's an interesting time for game development. If you're not successful, you're laid off. If you're successful, you're laid off. There's no logic. I don't like it. Blue Team, I think, is one of the tightest teams in the biz. I have so much respect for them. I was really sad to see that they just shut them down instead of even selling them off or letting them buy themselves back or something like that. Institutionalized knowledge is really hard to recreate. It takes years to build that kind of thing up, and to just throw it out doesn't make any sense to me at all. But I'm not a corporate, I'm not in management, so.
Ooh, I don't know. I mean, like, for me, I've found that I have, like, bought obviously a few AAA titles and stuff like that. I feel like in general I love indies better. I feel like people have a lot more creative freedom. People just kind of can do what they want, and you feel like there's a lot more heart. You usually get storytelling that's actually at a higher level when you're going to independent people or just smaller teams than, like, you know, and I guess that's true for like most things. It's the same for novels. It's the same for graphic novels as well. You've seen a lot where kind of the quality's decreased because there's just like a lot more at stake and there's a lot more stakeholders to actually, you know, appease. Yeah, again, I think a lot more creative freedom. Like, you're not getting people, like, because as much as I've heard, like, you know, yeah, you've got to appease, like, company policies, and you have to appease certain stakeholders that, like, want to make back profits and things like that. And obviously, yeah, as an independent creator, you know, it's nice to make profit with your game and your creation, but also you're doing it because you love it, and you're doing it because, you know, you have something that you want to make and share with the world. So you end up getting higher quality stuff, even if it's like, yeah, you know, it might not be as long, you know, as like maybe a AAA game, but it still is going to be something that leaves you feeling like you've had a fully fledged experience.